In the late 70s, there was a CIA program called Operation Mockingbird. Some of the reports had things like, for example, the Project Mockingbird, wiretapping, surveillance of journalists. Basically, what was happening was the CIA was caught threatening journalists, blackmailing journalists, using journalists, paying journalists, and basically, well, manipulating the coverage of news in ways that were favorable to their causes, essentially. What's interesting right now is as we watch the Twitter files come out, as we learn more about, frankly, government operations on the internet, and frankly, government interference, including from the intelligence agencies, on some of the main stories we're dealing with, whether it's COVID-19, vaccine safety, or the lack thereof, whether it's, for example, the pullout from Afghanistan, excuse me, or whether it's other key stories like this, we're finding now that oftentimes intelligence agencies are either directly involved or at least, from the side involved. That with even COVID-19 information, there were FBI agents actively flagging accounts for Twitter to ban and then sending them lists of names of individual tweets and so on to either shadow ban, make sure people don't see them, or use other methods. Folks, we're witnessing right now the new Operation Mockingbird, and it is much, much larger than the original. I want to put this in perspective for everyone, kind of show what is taking place right now, and frankly, the significance of it, because I think we've become, to an extent, numb to this type of, frankly, overreach and abuse. And also why they would want to impact basic psychology and worldviews. I think this is pretty serious. Also, folks, what's taking place right now in Europe, there's the war between Russia and Ukraine, of course, but we could soon see a retake of the Kosovo War between Serbia, the Serbians, and the Albanians in Kosovo. And with this, folks, really, we could see a repeat of the 90s. It's like we're going back to the 90s, Russia's economy collapsing, the Kosovo War, who knows what else we're going to see, the financial collapse, the dot-com bubble, who knows. But get ready for it. Interesting times ahead. I'm going to talk about this today and a few other stories. And folks, that said, thank you for being here. Those of you curious, I'm working from home still. I'm coughing a little bit, so I don't want to mess with people, But thank you so much for being here, folks. Those of you who actually have been watching the show for a while, remember my bookshelf I have my Christmas tree here now as well. I'll keep it till the new year. We'll see. All right. That said, folks, let's jump into the first story for the day. I want to start by going into the Twitter files and, frankly, Operation Mockingbird. Now, there have been a few more Twitter file posts since I last gave an update. I know I haven't been giving like regular updates because, frankly, there's just too many of them. But basically, I'll tell you what's been going on. We've been finding, for example, evidence that the FBI intelligence agencies have been censoring actively information about the COVID-19 vaccine and the virus. That they've been actively behind the censorship of even legitimate medical information. Normally, that's between you and your doctor. The government has no involvement in that. The government is now putting its hands into the realm of health, into public health. Which makes sense because remember, the World Health Organization declared an infodemic as part of the global health emergency, which included programs to also manipulate information. Excuse me. Now, they can justify that to an extent by claiming there's a threat to public health, and maybe this is a foreign threat. Because of that, they can rally up the intelligence agencies, say foreign threat. There's a foreign threat against the United States, and we need to find a way to fight it. They claim that foreign threat actors and so on are manipulating information online. They're spreading misinformation that could cost people's lives. And because of that, they can justify, at least to an extent legally, their actions of intervening in online discussions. What that has resulted in are things that are probably not legal. Things they should and probably very likely can be sued on, including, for example, flagging individual doctors, actual medical doctors, giving legitimate health opinions protected by law, telling Twitter to censor them, deplatform them, make sure people cannot hear them. making sure that legitimate information is not seen by the public. I'm wondering if my documentary was part of this. Like, I mean, part of being censored. And of course, I did a documentary in the very early days of COVID-19 about the origin of the virus. It was called Investigating the Origin of the Wuhan Coronavirus. And we pointed, of course, to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That was heavily censored. I was attacked like crazy on that. And frankly, I am wondering now whether, frankly, intelligence agency has something to do with it. I'm hoping they make these files public because I am seriously wondering at this point. But basically, what we're seeing now is that what many people suspected is now being revealed. Intelligence agencies, government agencies, and frankly, the gloves they wear of NGOs and even private businesses are acting against public interest when it comes to free speech. They are actively engaging in information operations on American soil, something that frankly would have been called conspiracy theory by many people a few years back because they can't legally do this. In fact, there were reports about Obama basically starting some of this, and people wrote it off as conspiracy. We're seeing now that this is true. We're seeing now that this is happening. And we're seeing now something much bigger than I think we thought it was initially. Again, I think Operation Mockingbird Part 2, and not just 400 journalists, but instead the mistreatment of every single person online. This is the age, folks. This is the age of citizen journalism. And citizen journalism means everybody, to an extent, can engage in the spread of information. Citizen journalism means every single person with his smartphone in your pocket can post news updates, breaking news from the ground, videos, updates on, maybe something taking place right in front of you. Everybody now is a citizen journalist. And everybody now is a target of Operation Mockingbird Part 2, the great censorship policy being rolled out that is targeting every single citizen journalist. That's what you're watching right now. Now, let me show you. So Matt Taibbi is one of the guys... One of the journalists online has been posting updates on the Twitter files. Basically, Elon Musk is opening up the books, releasing information on government interference on Twitter, and how Twitter was engaging in the censorship of its users without really telling them, actually, while even lying to them. I would say part of this is very likely Elon Musk opening the doors to very likely sue the previous owners of Twitter to also wipe his hands clean of the responsibility for any potential lawsuits around censorship or manipulation of the platform, and probably even sue the former owners of Twitter for misleading investors, and even him, because he purchased the company based on the stock price, misleading investors on the value of the company. What Elon Musk is doing, I believe, is basically saying, hey, this isn't what I bought. This is not what I signed up for. I signed up to buy a social media platform, not a subsidiary of the FBI. And in some of the new posts, they call Twitter that, a subsidiary of the FBI, a platform through which they were manipulating public information, a platform through which they were engaging in very much like Operation Mockingbird tactics of censoring, manipulating, and even attacking individuals who were spreading information they do or do not like. That's what's been happening.